Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. Today, I'd like to share the news that NFT stoner cats have settled SEC allegations in exchange for a $1 million fine. The SEC's claim that the NFTs, a band supported by a bevy of Hollywood A-listers, issued an unregistered security is neither confirmed nor refuted by the band. Gary Gensler, the scumbag regulator, is back at it again with his enforcement-first approach to regulating. They aren't laying down any hard and fast regulations. Even two of the commissioners are against taking such a strict stance. Clearly, then, not everyone in the SEC is on the same page. However, we are aware that Gary Gensler has been spreading a false narrative that the entire crypto sector is illegal since everything associated with it is a security. Of course, he isn't offering any direction. Members of Congress were also spotted asking him about the legal status of various cryptocurrencies and tokens. He doesn't have the correct answer when asked if XRP is a security. This is obviously a load of crap. This is where things get tricky. He accepts settlements from corporations that lack the resources to take on the government or the SEC in court. Many of these startups don't have the $100 million that Ripple used to fight the SEC. So they make a deal to appease the SEC, but of course Gary will count it as a victory. In contrast to the SEC's recent losses against well-known brands like Grayscale and Ripple, and, soon enough, Coinbase, Gary's setback does not carry as much clout because Stoner Cats is not a household name. Let me explain in more depth what I mean. After being charged and settled with by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for allegedly offering an unregistered security, NFT issuer Stoner Kittens 2 has agreed to cease and desist from offering the NFTs and pay a $1 million fine. In addition to posting a notice of order on its website and social media channels, Stoner Cats 2 has promised to destroy any NFTs in its possession. If you're wondering who's funding this Hollywood project, the SEC has a solution: Stoner Cats. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis issued the statement. With much fanfare, they dropped 10,000 NFTs in July of 2021. They made $8 million off of that decrease. Do you see how ludicrous this is now, people? What does that make of any artwork published online, though? Let's pretend it's not an NFT file. Let's imagine you're into sports cards, like baseball cards. This is completely absurd. The SEC is acting far beyond its authority. I mean, no offense. There are negative actors, hence it is their role to keep an eye on these NFT ventures and crypto projects. The bad actors, however, are being left alone while they go after the good ones. SEC Commissioners Hester Peirce and Mark Ueda published a dissenting opinion on Wednesday, stating that the Howey test cannot be met, thus things are looking pretty bad right about now. Just like that. This issue has clearly divided the SEC. The entire industry, and perhaps even some legislators, are opposed to this folly, but it is Congress's responsibility to enact regulations. Simply because Gary will keep on babbling and applying for Treasury jobs. Basically, he's trying to build a caseload so he can brag about his successes and attract investors by saying things like, "See, I took a lot of enforcement actions and got a lot of capital," without providing any context to back up his claims. They're con artists, and they're up to no good. That is his story, then. Now is the time for battle, guys. That's why we leverage social media, get in touch with your reps, and more. What Mark Ueda has to say is as follows. The ramifications of such an analysis of investment contracts extend to all sorts of artists. If we extend the same securities rules that cover NFTs artwork to actual collectibles, then artists' imaginations will wither under the cloud of uncertainty. What the SEC is doing is completely ridiculous, and we have to keep fighting even though sleazy regulator Gary Gensler keeps his job. Now, oddly enough, several employees from Ripple were interviewed by CNBC yesterday, and here's the headline from CNBC: Ripple says it will defend the SEC lawsuit all the way through. Ripple has declared its intention to defend itself against the SEC complaint. The SEC is suing many cryptocurrency businesses, including CNBC's Ripple, via its president Monica Long-Toll, and others as Nance and Coinbase. Therefore, Ripple will keep on fighting. You all know that the party at the end of September will be the proper one. And I will be there in New York City, so that's something I'm looking forward to. Some individuals are probably still unhappy about it, despite the price drops. But if you have to understand market cycles, right, what's playing out, everything is down, Bitcoin is down, even a significant, large part of the market's out there due to the macroeconomic issues of inflation rate hikes and much more. I'm relieved to hear that Ripple intends to keep battling, and I have faith that they'll try to negotiate a compromise. We are aware that the SEC intends to file an appeal, but from a purely triumphal perspective, I believe the judge got it right when he or she determined that the XRP token itself is not a security. It's similar to how we don't consider orange trees or the oranges we buy at the grocery store to be security in and of themselves, but rather the packaging. This is the crux of the matter. The packaging of NFTs makes a difference as to whether or not they are considered securities. Don't get me wrong, under the correct conditions, NFTs might be considered securities. But we also know that merely issuing artwork and entities on the blockchain does not make them inherently secure. But we all know Gary Gensler doesn't and is just attempting to make things more complicated. We know that every security issued is worthless on its face. Those of you who have a Flare token are now in the vanguard of Flare. In the same way that I delegate my Flare tokens and earn benefits for doing so, I am also doing the same for Songbird if you are an XRP holder who participated in the Flare snapshot and received distribution of your Flare tokens. Now, you can choose to invest in the Flare token if you so choose, as the Flare protocol is transitioning to a staking mechanism. Here, they updated us on the progress of the transition to the staking model for Flares, indicating that we'll soon be entering the second of 3 phases. The start date will be revealed in the following weeks. This is fantastic news for anyone who owns a Flare token. And if I can stake and receive extra prizes, that's fantastic. And just so you know, I am not planning to sell any of the money I make from delegation. This bear market has forced me to delegate the task of acquiring new tokens. Then, when the bull market finally arrives, I plan to cash out as soon as possible. And speaking of rising prices and sales, a solid foundation upon which to build is currently being upheld. Since the year 2018, I have been utilizing them. That they support 150 different countries, have over 250 different cryptocurrencies, and have over 10 million customers makes them one of my favorite exchanges. You can trade in 37 different national currencies, as well as precious metals, stocks, and more. So that's 37 distinct national currencies, and you can easily trade between them, precious metals, and cryptocurrencies. So, check out the description for additional information on Uphold. Alright, here's some huge news about Hedera Hbars. In light of this, I recently spoke with Hedera co-founder Lehman Beard. They're making wonderful progress. Do you agree that this is one of the blockchain projects that has the potential to survive the current speculative crypto bubble and emerge successful? You had your Googles, eBays, Amazons, and a few others that came out and did extremely well if you look at the speculative bubble of the .com. Hedera may very well be one of them. And some of the largest names, including Google, Dell, IBM, Boeing, and, most recently, Hyundai and Kia, are part of its governing council. That's a massive development. And so they tweeted, "We are excited to announce the Hedera Stablecoin Studio, the only one stablecoin configuration issuance and management toolkit, specifically designed for Web 3.0 product platforms, institutional issuers, enterprises, and payment providers." The Stablecoin Studio uses the Hedera network and works with other companies to provide a fully functional and streamlined stablecoin solution, complete with proof of reserve dedicated custodians and network native know your customer / anti-money laundering flagging. It's a major deal, obviously. They claimed that steady coin issuance and maintenance had never been easier than with Hedera due to Hedera's predictable fees, high programmability, and broad network of ecosystem partners. Easily create and set up reliable currencies with all the tools at your disposal. This is a fantastic addition, obviously. The potential to have your blockchain used for tokenization, whether it be CBDC stablecoins, NFTs, tokenization of real-world assets, and much more, will be crucial to acceptance because that's where the token economy is headed. Therefore, in many respects, Hedera is ahead of the curve. And if you haven't already, you should check out my interview with Lehman Beard. We discuss Shinhan Bank and its token, which functions as a stable coin on the Hedera blockchain and is being utilized to facilitate better cross-border payments, because of the Hyundai-Kia incident. This is obviously a very significant development. To put it mildly, my optimism toward Hbar is extreme. Coinbase CEO called Bitcoin the most important asset on Tuesday after the business said it would integrate the Bitcoin Lightning Network in an effort to boost adoption. Now, Coinbase is lagging behind the competition. The Lightning Network has been implemented by various exchanges, besides OKX. However, I believe that platforms will increasingly make use of the Lightning Network to assist increase Bitcoin scalability. In my opinion, the Lightning Network is still in its infancy. The team at LightSpark is attempting to implement Jack Mueller's strike, but so far, no luck. Bitcoin, as you know, is a fantastic hedge against inflation, hard currency, and digital endpoint. That's how I see it, anyway. Which is why it's a part of my investment portfolio. To put it simply, it has resulted in financial gain for me. And if you take into account the monthly payments, things would not be too rosy. Definitely not a plus. If the Lightning Network gains widespread acceptance and usage, it has the potential to undergo significant development in the near future. But that's still a long way off. Because of the limited scope and audience, it will be interesting to observe how companies like Jack Dorsey's Cash App, David Marcus's LightSpark, Jack Mallers' Striking, and others fare. People don't really say, "I'm going to go spend some steps" or anything like it on a worldwide scale. Yes, you are correct in saying that. Don't misunderstand me, I admit the possibility exists. There have been other minor incidents in El Salvador. But what about everywhere else? Stable coins seem to be the preference. So it's up to the Lightning Network's developers to figure out how to increase capacity while keeping user onboarding simple. So Coinbase is making an effort to increase Bitcoin's popularity. And it makes perfect sense. Bitcoin is unquestionably the most famous name in cryptocurrency. Many knew. Investors taste the Bitcoin acid, and from there they expand their portfolio to include other coins. Blockworks hosts the permissionless crypto conference in Austin, where cryptocurrency pioneer Vitalik Buterin recently spoke. And he spoke on the roadmap for Ethereum's development. It's possible that some listeners have serious beef with Vitalik, Joe Lubin, Bill Hinman, and company. That's alright, of course. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of these people either. People can choose to disregard the fact that Vitalik is a talented programmer whose work I like. His foundation was indeed solid. The EVM is adopted by many other blockchains, giving them a first-mover advantage. And there has been much construction on the Ethereum. The evidence, from DeFi to NFTs and beyond, is there. You can't ignore it just because you don't like it or don't hold it. Additionally, Ethereum is being utilized and developed for numerous smart contract applications. And he said some intriguing things about the next target of Ethereum's attacks. His verdict: DeFi is hip. While NFTs are a novel primitive, they are an extension of an established technology, and the use of crypto for financial transactions is both advantageous and well established. Buddha and said what he's excited about is decentralized social, repeatedly named dropping Faircaster, a Twitter-like protocol on the OP mainnet with a companion Warpcast mobile app that is currently in byte-only alpha release, and Lens, developed by all the founders Donnie Coolidge up and running on Polygon's proof-of-stake chain, FAChain, and FAI. Let's see how far we can take it in that direction, Buddha remarked. But the thing that interests me most about this project is how well it will integrate with everything else our space has been working on. In other words, it appears that he is attempting to create a decentralized social platform that will involve the tokenization of entities defining sensible software. And now that we're entering Web 3.0, it's important to note that users have already begun making the move from Web 2.0 sites like MySpace and Friendster to Web 3.0 sites like Facebook, Twitter, and so on. With the ease of onboarding use and the layer of rewards provided by tokens, web-based social networks will give way to Web3 social platforms. And if people can earn tokens properly and get paid for their activity, and that activity is recorded on the blockchain, then it can be verified. It's not easy to crack or anything. As long as social media and other mainstream platforms continue to suffer data breaches, people will flock to your site. Vitalik has made some intriguing claims here. And I believe it's important that we keep an eye on this. Because, as I've already stated, Ethereum is supported by a sizable developer community, substantial financial backing, and a wealth of other resources. Thus, these social media come with some sort of token. Instead of investigating that, I'm exploring these platforms to find ways to profitably employ them. That's all there is to the news, folks. Give me your feedback. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.